Unit 8, targets 3 and 4, homework number 34. An altitude is the same line segment as an angle bisector. The altitude is the same line segment as an angle bisector. Let's just try the different types of triangles. So here's a scalene triangle, and I can draw an altitude from my top vertex. This is the altitude. Put the little perpendicular symbol so we know. And the angle bisector, that altitude doesn't necessarily split the angle up into the same congruent parts. If I wanted to bisect the angle, I might have to go down here and show that the angle is congruent on both sides. But in a scalene triangle, there's no way to prove that that altitude is the same as the angle bisector. One of the things we know about an angle bisector is that it doesn't have to intersect the other side at a right angle. So it's definitely not always. The question is, can it happen sometimes? Well, let's go back to our isosceles triangle, because that's usually where this stuff happens. In an isosceles triangle, if I draw an altitude, then I know it goes from the vertex and it's perpendicular. Okay, because it's an isosceles triangle, I know that the legs are the same. I just drew this segment in the middle, so because of the reflexive property, that's the same. And so the two triangles are congruent because of hypotenuse leg, or side-side right angle. If the two triangles are congruent, that means all of their corresponding parts are congruent, including these top angles, which means that the altitude is the same line segment as the angle bisector. It's also the same line segment as the median and the perpendicular bisector. So all four line segments are the same when drawn from the vertex of an isosceles triangle. So the correct answer is sometimes, because we have an example of when it doesn't work and an example of when it does.